Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Wisevibes, and today I'm going to be talking about why spirituality is important and what does it mean. So what is spirituality? If you want to understand the meaning of something or understand a concept, we always begin by going to the root meaning or the original meaning of the word. Now in English, the word spirituality comes from the Latin word spiritualis. And spiritualis literally means to breathe. So the original Latin word from which spirituality came about is spiritualis, and that means to breathe. And now that gives us a different perspective on what spirituality is related to, what it is to do with. That to be spiritual is related to breathing, or if we want to refer it deeper, that to breathe is the most basic essential function of human life. In order to live, you have to breathe. So to breathe means to live. So spirituality is that which really makes you alive, really brings you to life. And there's a wonderful parallel if we go and look at all the ancient traditions or even religious traditions. We'll find that there's a common grain of understanding and truth and reality that is there in all of them. So for example, if we want to look at Christianity, we go to the Bible and we see that in the book of Job, Job says, as long as I live, while I have the breath of God. So there's an indication that the breath of God is that which is linked to life within the human being. Elsewhere it says in Job as well, but there is a spirit within people. The breath of the Almighty within them is that what makes them intelligent. Again, another link to life and even intelligence, real intelligence, related to that which is the breath of God, or also known as the Spirit of God within man, or your own spirit. In the Psalms, it says, when you give them your breath, life is created and renew the face of the earth. So, again, life comes about through the breath of God. And breathing is related to life. So there is a connection to being alive and to this breath and thus to spirituality. In Ezekiel, this is what the sovereign Lord says, look, I am going to put the breath in you and make you live again. Also in John, Jesus came and it says he breathed on them and said, receive the Holy Spirit. So Jesus transmitted the Spirit through his breath. His breath carried the Spirit. So there's a strong relevance to this we see from the Christian tradition. In Judaism, the whole initiation of the creation of the human being, if we see in the Genesis that God animated the human being by breathing from his breath into the nostrils of the human being and therefore gave him life. In Buddhism, we have the prana. Prana is the life force or breath. Pranayama, which is the practice of yogic breathing, a certain type of practice which is the control of the breath or the activation of the life force. And that physical practice of breathing or activating and controlling that life force is to relate to controlling the life of the human being. In Taoism, In the Chinese ancient tradition, we see that the qi, which is also the word for air or breath, is also known as vital energy force. And the big qi is the divine breath, the cosmic breath that breathed life into existence, or the divine breath of God. In the Native American tradition, or the Navajo tradition, we see the word used for air is also understood as the sacred wind, or the sacred breath, or the supreme divine creator that pervades the universe or the cosmos or existence. In the Islamic tradition, we go to the Quran, and in the Quran it is said, God says that, and I breathed into him from my spirit when he initially created the first creation, Adam. So there is a common vein in the breath of God, or a divine breath giving life to existence, real life to the human being. And that is what goes from the physical body when the human being dies, according to all these traditions, and moves on to another realm. But in any case, what we wanted to establish and understand is that, therefore, being spiritual is connecting to that divine or universal element within the human being that gives them life, or real life. And it has a connection to the breath, and that's something that we'll talk about in future episodes. So, in order for us to be alive, we have to be spiritual. But what does that mean, to be spiritual? Again, this is something we'll talk about in future episodes. But what I wanted to discuss or establish today is spirituality means to live truly. It means to breathe in your reality, not just physically breathe. Spirituality, therefore, is of utmost importance to the human being. So the question is, how connected am I to my spiritual nature or my inner self? I just want to finish up with a beautiful saying from one of the great sages, who said that from the calamities there's poverty. So poverty is a calamity that afflicts the human being. It's a tribulation, it's a terrible state to be in. But worse than that is physical illness. Because even if you're not in poverty, or you have lots of wealth, if you're physically ill, you have illness, you won't be able to enjoy that wealth properly. In fact, it won't be of much concern to you. But worse than that is sickness of the heart, or inner sickness, spiritual sickness. You can have wealth and you can have health, but you can be spiritually sick, and that makes you a terrible human being, makes you a horrible person. Sicknesses of the heart, or sicknesses of the inner self, are worse than physical sicknesses. And then on the converse side, from the bounties, there's wealth. Economical wealth is a great bounty. But better than that is physical health. Physical health is a great bounty that's superior to the financial wealth. And that's where our remit of focus is really in this life. Most people, we look, media everywhere around the world focuses on, making money, which is important, and also getting fit physically. But more important than that, this great sage says, is spiritual health, purity of the heart, inner health and inner wealth. And that's where we need to turn our gaze, to not exclude the most important aspect of our life on this earth, which is our spiritual and inner health and wealth. So let's work on improving our financial situation, on our physical situation, health, and not to forget the most important, which is our inner fitness. The fitness of the heart, the fitness of the spirit, the fitness of the soul. And that's what I wanted to share with everybody today, with all of you guys. And stay tuned for, we're going to go into more details and talk about different things related to this element of being spiritual, being more focused in our lives and in our character and so on, and drawing from ancient tradition and wisdom and benefiting so that we can all improve and develop ourselves and move towards progress and perfection. Thank you for tuning in and watching. If you want to keep up with these videos, please do subscribe and follow, and you'll be getting up to date on what we bring out. And I hope to see you next time. Have a great day, and let's turn our gaze to the spiritual.